It's been 10 years, actually like 11 years, basically, since Injustice 1 came out. It was actually in April 16th of 2013. Now, here's my question for all of you, and it's something I wanted to briefly take a look at today. When it comes to DC and Batman and Superman and all these characters, video games, even Mortal Kombat, it all kind of ties together into a question: should there even be an Injustice 3? Now, Injustice has been a very, I would say, controversial game series with people online. In real life, like I'm just talking sales numbers and things like that, it did incredibly well. Like in 2017, it was one of the best-selling games, actually, and WB was very, very happy with it. And it's not something that flopped or did bad, but overall, it's one of those things with like hardcore comics fans, and I would even argue like superhero movie fans, that is kind of iffy. Like a lot of people are very tired of certain elements of Injustice, and it's been so many years, even since the second game coming out in May of 2017, that I wanted to take a look at this for a couple minutes and ask you if you think that there should be an Injustice 3 or not. Like, do you think that they should do this? Now, it's worth noting that Mortal Kombat 1 actually came out in late 2023. That was the most recent NetherRealm project, who also worked on Gods Among Us, Injustice 1, and Injustice 2. They did Mortal Kombat 11 actually in 2019, so they have been making a lot of stuff. It's not a case of like the company not making anything, but it's a question of where to take it. Now, before we hop further into this video, if you do enjoy this content, if you want to leave a like, subscribe for more content, that helps me out a lot. This channel has kind of struggled a little bit recently. I try not to complain about that kind of stuff, but it's just been very up and down. A lot of people aren't seeing the videos and stuff, so, I try and upload multiple times a week. If you want to check back, we have a Fortnite creator code, DJAY123, that goes to support the channel. And of course, as well, I do want to say that we have new comic book resin pieces up on our shop, cosmobunny.shop. I'm going to talk more about that at the end of the video. But with Injustice 3, this is something that I remember talking about around the time of Injustice 2 launching, and how there actually were places you could take the story. Obviously, we did have Brainiac showing up as a big bad for Injustice 2. I think one of the biggest hurdles and problems, though, is not actually things like character roster. I mean, they showed us in Injustice 2 that what you can always do is just pull someone in from the multiverse. I know a lot of people are tired of that, but it is something that they did with even a character like Green Arrow, where the Injustice universe version of that character was dead, but they brought one in from a different universe, incorporated him into the story, and then he actually was the Green Arrow of that universe for now. And that was kind of where they took it with the roster. It opened up the possibilities that we could see characters back who had died. It made it so that we could see characters from other tie-ins as well. We got a Mortal Kombat character in the first game, and we got a couple of them in the second game. So it's one of those things where, like, you had the ability to cross over, bring in new characters from other comic brands even. Seeing characters like Hellboy or the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't personally think the roster is the issue. I think for me, the biggest hurdle, and the biggest reason I don't actually really know if there should be any more Injustice, is that a lot of the story elements of this are very tired. Now, I love comic books. There actually are some pretty fun Injustice comic books. They are up and down in terms of quality. There are some pretty great heights that they hit, and also there's some pretty scathing lows. Like, for example, Nightwing dying because he fell down and hit his head on a rock. That is a real canon element of Injustice. It really happened. Like, basically Damian was fighting Dick, and he knocked him down, he hit him in the head, and then Dick basically cracked his head open, broke his neck on a piece of rubble that was sticking up from the ground, and then he was dead. Now, here's the thing. It also opened up the element to bring him back as Deadman, because he did become Deadman in the comics, so there was some cool stuff that you could do with that. But my point is, there's also equally stupid BS happening in those Injustice comics that actually is not often elevating the universe of Injustice, but was considered canon to the games. So you either would have to write out all of those comics, or you would have to be beholden to their story, good and bad, to continue with an Injustice 3. which is something Injustice 2 already struggled with when they wanted to bring back characters that maybe were killed in the comics, and then they had to be like, well, this is technically this might be a second Scarecrow. It's not the one you knew, guys. Don't worry about it. Yeah, he's still dead, but we wanted Scarecrow in the game. There were a lot of weird shenanigans like that I think really did tie the hands of writers on the game. I love continuity. I love when things tie together well, but I think the problem is there wasn't a ton of thought put into a lot of those comics. Some of them there was, but there also wasn't a lot of thought put into Injustice 2 when it came to oh yeah, we wrote multiple years of comic books. What do we do with that? And I think that that's something that if Injustice 2 was already struggling with, literally only your second game, maybe you're not really taking it in a great story direction. Which, speaking of story direction, is the other thing I wanted to mention, Evil Superman. I personally am kind of over this. Now, I know it's a meme how much I hate things like Brightburn, where it'll be a take or a parody on Evil Superman, where they take it their own direction, and they're just an edgelord fest. But in recent years, Evil Superman has been almost more common than good Superman. And I actually think that this has kind of damaged the character a little bit, and also just become boring. I mean, how many times have we seen it? Just off the top of my head, both Injustice games, since 2013, both of those games that were massive sellers, Evil Superman was at the core of both games. Then, of course, you do have the Injustice animated movie. You have, not evil, but misunderstood or twisted Superman in animated films like Superman Red Son, based off the classic comic book series. You also have Evil Superman in things like Injustice Mobile, which is actually a real thing that people play. You do also have Evil Superman showing up in a bunch of comic books over the years. You have Evil Superman in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League most recently. Even Brainiac coming back in that story, and in my opinion being less interesting than the version of him in Injustice 2, but still being there. Every time I see Superman, I'm like, is he gonna kill somebody? Is he gonna be, is he gonna be the dark, brooding, edgy, evil Superman? This is coming from a guy, by the way, who likes things like Man of Steel. Superman doesn't always need to be the brightest, the most cheerful character ever, but I don't want him to be evil all the time either. It's getting annoying. People want to see an actual normal Superman that is a symbol of hope. Even right now in popular media outside of just DC, you even have characters like Omni-Man. Yes, he's not Superman. I know that. I'm not stupid. In Invincible. But he's very clearly a play on the idea of evil Superman. You also obviously have characters like Homelander. Now, you always get these dumb debates about who would win in a fight. I don't know why. But Homelander is very clearly a mirror of an evil type of Superman character. We're seeing this character version, Superman as a totalitarian, or Superman as a fascist, or as a violent psycho, pop up over and over and over in media. I'm personally kind of over it. If you want to bring this idea back in years, cool. I mean, the Justice Lords from the DCAU are an example of where I think evil or twisted/misunderstood Justice League works really well. I really like that storyline from the Justice League cartoon. But I do think as well, you can do other things with this, like the Crime Syndicate as well, like Ultraman. And you can still do a reflection of Superman without it having to be Kal-El. And you can also still do this without having to continue the Injustice storyline. I think any superhero fighter could mimic or improve on the basic fundamental gameplay of Injustice. I would much rather see a game with similar gameplay if you want the same gameplay, but with versions that actually follow the comic book versions of these characters. For example, a Superman who's good, a Batman who's good, and they're not fighting each other. Things like that I think would be really cool to see, almost in the same vein as they did Marvel vs. Capcom back in the day. Yes, it was a crossover game, but they tried to keep those characters mostly in the parameters of who they would have been, the source material. If you're going to do another superhero fighter, that's what I personally want to see. Maybe we could get a DC fighter, but with comic book accurate versions of those characters, or at least characters that are accurate to the spirit of who the character is. And there's plenty of room to still bring in different versions of characters. I'm fine with a couple characters from Injustice making it onto a roster of playable characters. What I don't really think I need is more of this universe. I think it's kind of run its course. We're at the point in the universe where Batman was rebuilding. He was preparing for Superman to come back. But of course, again, that would mean that it would be a third game with evil Superman as the villain. And I personally just don't think I need it. In a closing note, not really as like trying to send stray shots at NetherRealm, but I also do think that NetherRealm has had a lot of odd choices in recent years with their stories. Like for example, ever since Mortal Kombat 11, I would say, they've really been kind of like tiptoeing around certain issues and certain things. They've tried to really scale back and dial back a lot of their costume design and change things. It seems like they're very much in an era of like trying not to upset anybody. And it's weird to me because Mortal Kombat was always kind of the one pushing the envelope a little bit on what was acceptable for fighters. Back in the day, Mortal Kombat was at the head of discussion along with GTA for game censorship, of like, should games be censored? And to kind of see NetherRealm falling into a weird area where they themselves are self-censoring their own games and being like, oh, no, that's metal bikini's a little too much, but, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't really feel like this is the same NetherRealm right now. I don't know if it's because of the current, like, political and social climate of like online discussion that they're afraid or what it is. But for me, when you're kind of seeing that, I'm also even wondering if maybe it would be better to just have a different company make a DC superhero fighter, or even eventually to see a DC versus Marvel fighter. People think it's impossible, but we have gotten crossover comics multiple times. They actually recently were reprinting some of them as well, meaning that these companies are at times willing to play ball with each other and actually step up to make what people want to see. I don't know. I'm interested to hear your comments down below of what type of fighter you would want to see, if you'd want to see Injustice 3, if you'd want to see a different type. Let me know in the comments down below. If you want to support this channel, we do have our Fortnite code DJAY123. We also do have our store, CosmoBunny.shop. My wife Jill actually just walked into the room. I'm going to let her explain a little bit about what that store actually is and some of the new stuff we have on it and our discount code.
So I run CosmoBunny.shop, and it is my pride and joy. And what I do on there is I actually take comic books and manga that can't be sold at stores because they're so damaged, and instead of letting the stores throw them away, I will cut out some of the pictures from them and I will put them in resin and make coasters and trays and keychains and stuff like that. And I also make handmade jewelry, so I think that's pretty awesome. I do take commissions on these things, and I hope you guys check out my store. And it also, the 10% off code is all caps DJAY123. And like we said, that's also our Fortnite creator code. So definitely try to support us on there if you like Fortnite.
And one thing that's really cool about that shop is that it's actually repurposed materials. Like you said, what we do is we recycle the rest of the stuff that's not used. So say in a damaged comic book, there's a few images that it's like, hey, let's, recycle this paper into something cool for your home. We do it. Then what we do is we recycle the rest of the comic book into the actual recycling, making sure it's not going into landfills, things like that, so it's renewable. And we even use renewed packing materials. So things from packages we've gotten over the years, we've saved them all in a closet and just put them in paper bags and stuff. And we just reuse it instead of having to buy new packing materials. So
that's why if you buy something from me and the packages don't look consistent, it's because they're all recycled packages. So they're not all going to look the same.
And maybe, you can either pass it on, use it again yourself, or otherwise we save the world from one small package in the ocean.
That's true.
So we hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Leave a like, subscribe. Love hearing your thoughts. We said everything that is there to support us with. But finally, we're actually playing through Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League over on Degenerate Plays, my Let's Play channel. The link is in the description down below, along with everything else. I hope to see you there, so you can suffer alongside me. Please help. Send help. Have a fantastic day, and as always, everyone, stay shui. Help.